everyone. Sorry for the slight disheveled look. I was just at the beach, so my hair is very frizzy. So I don't do this every single month, but I try to. Just some months I find that I want to just mood read, finish series I'm in the middle of, but sometimes I really just want to set a TBR. So I think that's what I'm going to do for August. I think the last one of these I did was for April. I really need to be more committed and do these more often. But yeah, sometimes I just like to mood read some months. Sometimes a month will flow into another month and I'm in the middle of something and I don't really want to set a TBR. But I do for August. It's like the end of summer. I'd really just like to plan my reading a little bit more before we get into autumn. If you haven't seen one of these before, what I usually do, I have this little fairy loot bag full of strips of paper that has all my physical TBR, and I just pick like 4 randomly and I try to read those books in the month. I don't want to tell you how much physical TBR I have a lot. I actually think I'm going to do a physical TBR video, like showing my collection of books, kind of like a haul I suppose. I pick 4 as well because I feel like that's a book a week in the month, so I think it's a very doable TBR. And then I'll also talk about like the books I'm in the middle of and series I'm in the middle of that I'll also pick up. So yeah, I'm just gonna dive straight into it. So I just pick a book, you can see. I usually go for the bottom of the bag, so God knows what that's gonna be. Oh, okay, The Ones We Burn. I actually don't really know much about that. So yeah, I didn't pick this up myself. This was a fairy loot at one point. But yeah, I think this was one of the adult fairy loot books from the previous year. So with fairy loot books, they are beautiful. So this has like really nice ombre edges. The naked book is so pretty. So I'm assuming that's the main character there. Yeah, the end pages are really cool. They're quite creepy in a way, but I like it. 2 of the characters, 2 more as well. I really love that art style. And this also had like a reversible dust jacket as well, so you could choose the original or choose this one, which I actually think is much nicer. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll like fold it out. Anyway, I don't know much about this book. Just randomly got it in a subscription, so I'll just read the blurb. This sounds really interesting. So Ranka seems to be the main character. She wants to be kind of left alone. She's trying to forget her past, which was quite horrific. She grew up with a coven. However, she's named Bloodwyn, whatever Bloodwyn means. So she's the next treaty bride to the human kingdom. So her coven have to send her out to that to kill the prince. Except that the prince is gentle, kind, and terrified of her. He doesn't want to marry her and he doesn't want to be king. And it's his sister actually that's the real threat. Okay, there's a magical plague, so they make a pact to help develop a cure. In return, she'll help her out. Okay, cool. Seems like a bit of a fantasy romance leaning on a fantasy. I haven't heard anything about this. I actually don't know if it's good or not. But yeah, we will start with that one. It is very, very pretty. The author of this book is Rebecca Minks, I forgot to mention. Okay, on to book number 2. Okay, this one. Oh, okay, it's a book I was going to read anyway, so A Court of Frost and Starlight, if you can read my terrible writing. So that is the next book in the ACOTAR series. I just finished A Court of Wings and Ruin. I have a 24-hour readathon where I read most of that book, so I can link that here, and I really did enjoy it. It was definitely probably my favourite of the first 3 books. This is a little bit of like little segue between the original trilogy and the next book, A Court of Silver Flames. I think the character is just kind of resting and healing and processing what happened, so it might be a nice cozy read. It's only about 200 pages, so I should read this very quick, but I've heard mixed things. I've heard people like don't like it that much, or it's too boring, or don't feel like it's needed. I've heard other things where they feel like it's a very good segue to bridge the gap between the 2 books. So I'll see how I feel. It's hard to talk about this book because it's like a little novel after a trilogy. Basically in this book you're dealing with characters with the aftermath of a war. So yeah, I'd say a lot of processing and healing, which I think what Mass does really well is characters reacting realistically to trauma. I think like that's something I feel was such a strong point of the ACOTAR series. I feel like Mass really understood when something traumatic happens to a character, how they react properly, which I feel like a lot of fantasy doesn't do very well, and I have to say Mass did a very good job in that. So hopefully I like this. I was going to read this anyway. That's fun that I picked it out. Okay, on to number 3. Okay, oh, I've got 2. I'll pick this one. Okay, The Infinity Quartz. This is actually quite an old one. That is this book right here. I think this is supposed to be a bit of a sci-fi, and the author of this is Kemi Dawn Bowman. I'm quite excited about this because it's a bit of a sci-fi novel. So I think the main character is Nami. She's kind of certain her life is like just starting. She's just finished high school, I think. She's on her way to a party. A boy she likes is there, and she's murdered on the way. And she actually wakes up. That's not a spoiler. This is like the back of the book. So she wakes up in this place called Infinity. I think this is set in a bit of a dystopian future because they have this thing called Ophelia, which is basically an AI that assists humans, but it's actually taken over the afterlife as well. It's kind of queen of the afterlife, so the AI is kind of taken over there, which is really interesting. And I think Ophelia wants to take revenge on humans, and I think Nami is part of this team that's trying to take Ophelia down. So it does sound good. It's definitely a YA novel. I love a sci-fi dystopia, so I'm excited to get to this. Again, it's not one of those books I've heard a lot about. I think I bought this because this was a recommendation based on another book that I liked. That's why I picked it up, so that'll be fun. I like that it's a little bit different to the other two books that I just picked up as well. If I'm in the mood for a sci-fi dystopia, I can pick this up. Okay, book number 4. Oh, I always pick out 2. I'll grab this one because it feels closer. Oh, The Vanishing Half. Oh, very good. Okay, this is a very good mix because this is a literary fiction book. So this is The Vanishing Half. This is by Brit Bennett. This was very popular, I feel like, a couple of years ago. I feel like maybe around 2020. So yeah, I'm very excited to get to this. So this is about 2 twins. For some reason they're separated in their teens. Oh, they both run away. Okay, so they're brought up in a small black community. They run away and they actually are white passing. So one actually goes to live as a white woman, and then the other sister actually grows up in a community very similar to the one that she grew up in. So they live like totally separately, and then actually their daughters meet. And I think there is like 2 timelines. So I think it's set in the 1960s when they're teens, and then like fast forward to the 1990s. So it's a little bit of a historical, would you say 1990s historical? A little bit of historical fiction. But again, I heard really good things about this. Yeah, I think Brit Bennett as well, she wrote Mothers, I think. I've heard that's also very good. So yeah, that is fun. That's 4 very different books. I like that there's like a fantasy, sci-fi, literary fiction, and then a fantasy romance book in a series that I'm in the middle of, so that's really good. I'm really happy with these 4. But anyway, I wanted to talk also about the books I'm in the middle of and like series I want to continue. So currently I'm in the middle of A Gathering of Shadows. So this is by V. Schwab. I'm about halfway. I think I'm like just on the halfway mark. This is a very quick read though, so I think I definitely will finish this soon, and I would love to move on to A Conjuring of Light in August. This is the 3rd book in the trilogy, the final one. This one is huge, but these are very just easy to digest books. They're very kind of like fast paced. Again, can't really talk about the plots because these are books 2 and 3, but the original first book, A Darker Shade of Magic, is about Kel and Lila, so they're kind of the 2 main characters. Kel is this Antari, so he can travel between parallel worlds. In this world you have 4 Londons. They're all called London, which is fun. So there's black, white, red and grey. Grey is our current London, like in real life. He accidentally smuggles something that he shouldn't have. He's this messenger between all the kingdoms, but he also on the side like smuggles things and sells them in different Londons. Yeah, he smuggles something he shouldn't, and so many things happen. He meets Lila as well in Grey London, and that's her here. She's kind of a thief, wants to be a pirate, just kind of like living on the streets trying to survive. She wants a bit of adventure, so she ends up kind of following Kel. It's funny, this book I feel is suffering a little bit from middle book syndrome, but I'm still really loving it. The first half of this book is definitely kind of the characters like processing what happened in the first book. It's definitely slower paced than the first book, but I feel like it's going to ramp up. This one has a bit of a tournament plot, which I really love, and I have no idea what this book is, but I really want to kind of read these in conjunction. I kind of just want to keep going. I don't really want to break the series up, do you know what I mean? I kind of want to keep going with it. I might read a book or 2 in between, but I really want to quickly get to this book. V. Schwab also announced a book coming out called Threads of Power, which I think is a spin-off of this series, and I think that's coming out in the autumn time, so I would like to be ready for it. So I don't know what I'll give this yet, but A Darker Shade of Magic I gave 5 stars to. I enjoyed it so much. This is maybe leaning 4 star, but I'm gonna see. I'm not enjoying it as much but still really loving it. So loving every time I sit down to read it. Just escapism at its finest. Really well written, really easy to picture everything, really deep and rich and just fun. You know, it's just a really good fun series. I think V. Schwab's very witty. I love the dialogue. All good things. So yeah, definitely want to get to these in preparation for Threads of Power. So very excited about that. I was going to talk about A Court of Frost and Starlight, but since I picked it out, that's good. I'm in the middle of that series as well. And actually for audiobooks as well, so I'm currently reading The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. This is long. I'm listening to it, and it was, when I downloaded it, it said 32 hours. I was like, whoa. I actually think I just finished, I don't know where I am. I'm just about to start chapter 3, so I read about 78 pages. I'm about here. So this is going to take me a while, but I kind of like that with an audiobook. I love that I can maybe sit and be in the world for quite a while. I usually just listen to audiobooks if I'm traveling or doing mundane things like housework, so I'm glad I'm doing this. So The Goldfinch is about this little boy called Theo. He actually loses his mother in this big catastrophe. It's definitely much inspired by 9/11. A little bit. And then I think Theo, I haven't got to this part yet, but I think he actually falls into a life of crime. I think a family take him in and he just kind of falls into crime, basically. So I heard some reviews about this that it's a little bit overly detailed. I'm getting that a bit, but I think it's actually a good thing because it really gives you an immersive experience. Like, you know exactly what's going on. It's so easy to picture everything. Could Donna Tartt cut back a little bit? Probably. I felt like that with The Secret History as well. I thought it was maybe a little bit too much. However, I think in this case, I think it really adds to the story rather than takes it away. But yeah, I'm enjoying listening to it so far. I'm not too far in, I'm just 2 chapters in. Each chapter is very long, but I am enjoying it. Hopefully I will probably listen to it all in August. We shall see. It's a long one. So yeah, these are all the books I'm hoping to get to in August. I'm hoping to get to all of these because September I usually do a dark academia themed TBR, and then like October you're talking like Halloween type books. So yeah, it'd be nice to just kind of read random books for the time being. But yeah, that's everything. Hopefully I will film some reading vlogs just to give you more updates. I'll definitely film a reading wrap up when I'm done these books and give you my final thoughts on them. Thank you so much for watching. I do anything book related on this channel. If you'd like to subscribe, I do reading vlogs, 24-hour readathons, reading wrap-ups, all that good stuff. I'll leave links to these books and all my socials in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.